Heartbreaking. That is the word that comes to my mind as I'm sitting with my family underneath the stars, listening to the fire cracking, telling stories of the past. I had a great-great-grandma. She was born in 1896. Her name was Rachel Garrett, and she was full-blooded Cherokee Indian. Rachel said I had a rough life growing up, and you don't know what a rough life is. She always kept secrets, and she never told anyone about her past. Because of the life Rachel had growing up, she grew up to be a very judgmental person, and she judges everybody on any little thing that's wrong with them. Rachel married a prince. No, not a real one with money and a castle. She married John Prince, and John was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian as well. A few years went by, and John actually passed away. And Rachel's daughter Ruth wanted Rachel to move in with her, but Rachel wanted to be on her own. So Rachel wanted to live with the chickens. Rachel had her daughter Ruth and her husband build a house inside of the chicken house, so Rachel lived with the chickens. But this one story that Jen told me really stuck out to me. It was about my great-great-grandma Rachel. When Jen was about 9 years old, Jen's mom had made her this beautiful floral dress. It had a rounded neck, the sleeves were gathered, and it had ruffles to the shoulder. She had a belt that was waist high, and the dress was full from the waist down. Jen was so in love with this dress that she couldn't wait to show Rachel. So Jen was outside one day, running around, jumping, dancing, twirling, showing off her beautiful dress that she had just got. As Jen held out her dress as she was twirling, she stopped, looked at Rachel and said, "Look, Granny, look at my beautiful dress. Isn't it beautiful?" Rachel was standing there, looking at her. And then she looked away for a second, and then she looked back at Jen. And then Rachel told Jen, "Maybe she should have took a little out of the tail and made you some sleeves." Jen stopped her story right there, as if she was reliving that painful memory. Jen looked at me and said, "Those words will never leave my mind because I loved that floral dress. I was heartbroken." Jen went on to say that Rachel died at the age of 84 in Tuckasegee, North Carolina. The funeral home was having trouble locating one of the daughters, Montine, but the family didn't know about Montine. You see, when Rachel was younger, she had a daughter named Montine out of wedlock and did not want no one to know about this. So she hid Montine from the family. And it wasn't until Rachel passed that the family found out about Montine. Jen stopped again and started to tear up this time, saying, "Heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking." Rachel shot one of her grandchildren. Her granddaughter came to her house one night and she was drunk and she was knocking on the door. And Rachel asked, "Who's there?" But this girl never said anything, and she kept knocking on the door harder and harder to the point that she was kicking the door. And Rachel wasn't going to open the door for just anyone. So Rachel took the shotgun and shot her granddaughter through the door. She survived though, but I bet she'd never do that again. Rachel didn't believe anybody. If you had just told her that you washed your hands and she didn't see it, she'd make you go wash your hands again and she would watch. This one time, my uncle was sitting there and she told him that he needed to go wash his hands before dinner. He said all he'd done that day was milk the cows. She told him, "You better go get your butt up and wash your hands before you eat dinner at my house." Lastly, even though you knew you were right, Rachel always figured that you were lying to her. This one time, my other uncle was sitting down talking to her, and his last name is Mashburn. So she asked him if he was related to the people that owned the Mashburn shoe factory. And he told her no, he wasn't. And she looked at him and said, "Son, you better stop lying to me." And he said, "Granny, I promise I'm not related to them." And she said, "You're lying to me. I know you're lying to me." Well, he told her, I guess when God made the Mashburns, he made half of them and threw the other half away and said the hell with them. And my uncle said that flew all over her. But she shut up.